Hello, great day, everyone. Mabuhay from the Philippines. I would like to thank the Philippine Society for Talent Development for inviting me as one of your speaker, especially to our chairman, Mr. Andrew Mendoza, a good friend of mine way back in Korea. Welcome to PSTD 47th National Convention, IDENTD. Today, we will learn about the art of dubbing or automated dialogue replacement and also the future of voice acting and voiceover in the world. Let's start. Here in the Philippines, people call me the VoiceMaster. I guess because when I was starting out, people took notice of my talent in making a lot of voices. In fact, I got into this industry at age 16 when I won a voice acting competition for one of the biggest radio networks in the country. I created an entire radio drama and voiced all the characters. So do you want some sample? I'll show you a video. Here we go.
Mga cartoon character.
Hey, come on, Patrick. I'm SpongeBob. Hey,
How are you, SpongeBob? My name is
Hey,
Patrick.
shut up, SpongeBob. I'm Squidward.
Hey, my name is Mr. Krabs.
Oh, come on, Pluto. Oh, Dodo.
Gosh, I'm Goofy.
Yep. What's up, Doc? You're so despicable.
I thought, Putty Tat. I did, Putty Tat.
I love you. You love me. I'm the great Count Dracula. One beautiful
I
girl.
want some cookie. Some cookie is for me. Yum, yum,
Ooh,
yum.
Elmo wants to dance.
Oh, me? Scooby-Doo?
Hey, Homer, stop it. I have to serve you, Lord Megatron.
Where's the cube star stream?
Autobots, transform and roll
Ha!
out.
Ako nga pala si Cyber Kurichan.
Ako naman si Chacha. Bobo
Maganda
Chacha.
araw mga bata. Ako naman si Bara-Baraman ng
All right, welcome back. That's all my voices. But fast forward to 2005, being called the Voice Master transformed into something bigger because almost a decade of being a freelance voice artist, I decided to build the very first voice acting school in our country. Before I did, no one was actually conducting workshops about voice acting in the Philippines. The veterans were getting older and older, but there were no fresh new talents to supplement or replace them. To build my own voice acting school, the Philippine Center for Voice Acting, now called Voice Acting Academy Philippines, because when I was starting out, I realized how corrupt and monopolized the industry was. So I built the school and I invited a few of my friends and mentors in the industry who started or shared the same passion that I had for teaching aspiring voice artists to become the next generation of voice artists. So since 2005, we have trained and produced thousands of voice artists in our school. A lot of them are now thriving in voiceovers, dubbing, broadcasting, hosting, and even public speaking. I also wrote a few books, one of which is the one in Filipino called Gusto Kong Maging Voice Talent, or I Want to Be a Voice Talent in English. In 2017, it was also awarded as the best book on professions in the National Book Awards here in the Philippines. I also wrote a chapter about dubbing in James Alberger's 6th edition of The Art of Voice Acting. In 2020, just like the rest of the world, I have pivoted to doing online workshops, but not only did I do online voice acting workshops, I turned it into a certification program. I call it the Certified Voice Artist Program, or CVAP. After less than 2 years, we already have hundreds of CVAs or Certified Voice Artists here in the Philippines. For more than 2 years, we have already produced more than 800 graduates, and most of my students, or our students, are my scholars, especially the persons with disability or PWD. We have also produced the first Filipino blind dubber. We also produced radio shows and online shows for them, like the Voice of PWD and PWD Got Talent. You wanna meet them? Okay, let's watch them.
Kung kailan sumikat ang araw. While we're fighting, so both of us are meant for nothing, nothing.
The history of dubbing in the Philippines. It used to be far-fetched, a fanciful idea that resided only in the recesses of the Filipino broadcaster's mind. Dubbing foreign programs in the lingua franca was indeed a distant flight of the imagination in the early years of Philippine television. More or less, the commercial origin of Philippine television would explain dubbing's initial failure to break into the local television industry. Airing local content was not a priority, as the young television networks found it more cost-efficient to import foreign programs than to produce their own shows. As such, canned American programs filled television networks' very first broadcast and later came to dominate local airtime from the 1960s to the 1980s. Using the local language was not a major concern, as well given that only the affluent owned television set back then. English thus became Philippine television's lingua franca. Ironically, it was also the commercial nature of local television that paved the way for the standard practice of dubbing foreign programs in Filipino. Local programs increasingly gained the favor of network executives starting from the 1960s as they were able to attract the lower income classes, a bigger television audience than high society. Television networks then eventually recognized the need for local content on air as ownership of television sets by lower income groups in the country rose. By the beginning of the 1990s, Philippine television had become such big business and network competition had become so fierce that television networks had to redesign their programming to cater more to the masa audience. Dubbing foreign programs in Filipino could now enter the picture as local content had finally become top priority for network executives. The big break first came from the Japanese animated serial or anime. Since the 1960s, anime was already making waves in local television. It was, however, always aired in English, but language preference for anime changed into the early 1990s as the masses unseated the elite as Philippine television's main audience. Television networks thus began to dub Japanese animated series in Filipino. The decision to dub anime in the local tongue quickly delivered high ratings, and the large-eyed and wild hairstyled characters from Japan soon filled up morning and afternoon slots in local television stations in the years that followed. Anime eventually invaded the primetime block of major television networks as marked by the early evening airing of Voltes 5 by GMA Channel 7 in 1999. Ultimately, anime made dubbing a viable source of income, not to mention that it challenged dubbers' voice acting abilities with sophisticated and adult-oriented series such as Neon Genesis Evangelion and Samurai X. Still, it was the Latin telenovela that sealed the deal for the standard practice of dubbing in the local television industry. RPN 9's phenomenal success with the Filipino-speaking Marimar in 1995 proved to television networks that there is a big audience for foreign soaps dubbed in the local language. Moreover, Marimar offered television networks a cheaper alternative to an entirely locally produced program line-up and a clever option that would maintain the industry's trust for local content on air. Dubbing consequently saw to a bright and busy future in the local television industry. The Latin telenovela, like anime, opened many doors for dubbers in terms of number of job opportunities and variety of storylines to engage in. However, the most noteworthy change brought upon by the Latin telenovela on dubbing was perhaps the diminished concept to lip synchronization in the practice of the craft. Matching the dub dialogue with the character's mouth was, after all, an incredibly difficult undertaking in Latin telenovelas as Mexican, Venezuelan, and Brazilian actors speak faster than their Filipino counterparts. Audiences also found the disparity between lip movement and dialogue in the dubbed Latin telenovelas entertaining anyway. Recently, a new kind of foreign program ushered in another thriving season for dubbers in the country. The ASEAN telenovela, as introduced by ABS-CBN's Meet Your Garden series in 2003, which I'm also part of it as the voice of Father of Sanchay. It provided dubbers with another steady supply of projects and it won the hearts of Filipino audiences for its cute, chinky-eyed characters, focused plot, and Asian values. Moreover, the Asian telenovela propelled dubbing to primetime significance. The overall effect of the Asian telenovela boom on the local dubbing industry unfortunately remains wanting on comprehensive description. The recent Asian telenovela boom thus exists as a vague chapter in the history of dubbing in the country in need of the media scholars' investigation. More importantly, the Asian telenovela boom poses as a significant question on dubbing's future in the country. Has it encouraged the growth of the local dubbing industry? Or has it unknowingly brought about the future demise of dubbing in the country?
I am Danny Mandia from the Philippines, a dubbing director. I used to be a college professor in theater arts. I teach production classes. I teach theoretical aspects of the theater, history of the theater, something like that. I started way back 1991. I was invited by a friend who is from the theater. Actually, he started asking me to do translations first, and then I experienced also how to dub, and then eventually I became a dubbing supervisor, and then from there I came to realize how to direct dubbing. The best answer for that is to let every voice actors or dubbers to get through a certain kind of workshop to standardize their knowledge about dubbing, what is dubbing all about. It's not for the heck of friendship that you invite them to dub and eventually using their voice and everything is alright. No. The way we treat dubbing is it's supposed to be an art. Dubbing as an art is something like acting in television, acting in the theater, acting for so many medium. It has to be a performance. It's not just using your voice, but using your voice in full capacity. I mean, when there's no acting in dubbing, it's plain sinking and stretching and tightening the lines. That's not dubbing anymore. You have to provide some spirit of acting while dubbing. It's 2005. Out of the blue, I asked Pocholo Gonzales to do some research about workshop, and I told him it's about time to do some workshop on voice acting or dubbing. And then after 3 months, it's on the go. We have these so-called creative workshops, the voice works. I should say it's a big contribution to the development of the dubbing industry because most of our workshoppers who finished the workshop, they became the translators, they became dubbers, good dubbers, I should say ace dubbers. And most of them are all around the city. Find a studio wherein you can find creative workshoppers who graduated from our workshop. If you want some progress and development in dubbing industry, we have to kill this dog-eat-dog system. We have to learn how to appreciate the talent of other people. We have to recognize the origin of these things, where you come from. You have to be very considerate. What they have right now is not they don't own it. They just learn it from other. So share what you learn, and you cannot own dubbing because it's only a thing that you learn from other people. Pass it on. As the technology advances and develop every day, there's a big opportunity for voice artists, and I mean it's a long road to success. But if you're sincere and you are aware of what you're doing, well, the future is there. It's just waiting somewhere. But we have to develop these people. We should not stop developing what we have. You have to learn more and more every day. Learn from other people. Learn from yourself, from your mistakes. Learn from hearing and watching what has been done. You should not stop from what you know and what you have learned. Those learnings should be cultivated more. It should be enhanced, should be developed. Let's find a way. The way I see it, years from now, almost less than 10 years from now, no? The Filipino dubbers are going international. Their voices spreading all over the world. Filipinos are intelligent dubbers. They're good voice artists. They need a break. It's simple, huh? It's so simple. Don't stop learning. And don't be greedy.
You may know how big the voiceover and dubbing industry is in Japan, being the anime capital of the world. And no matter how huge the movie and television industry in India is, they still have a plenty of room for international movies and shows. Dubbing hits in not just one language but in multiple local dialects and languages. And Mandarin is one of the top languages recorded for ads, whether for television, radio, or internet. But do you even wonder what the voiceover industry is like for neighboring countries or the neighboring Asian countries? The Philippines, a country name dropped in countless movies and television episodes, is also prime for voiceover work and dubbing. As one of the first Asian countries to produce radio programs in the 1950s and eventually a pioneer in movies in the region, Filipino voiceover talents found most of their work playing characters for radio drama and dubbing over live actors' voices in movies. In the next 60 years, the tapestry for voiceover work and dubbing for this small island country changes along with the changing technology and times. How big is the voiceover and dubbing industry in the Philippines? As technology grows, the need for voiceover and dubbing also grows. 20 years ago, when I was starting out, voiceovers are only needed for radio and TV commercials, radio drama, and dubbed anime and soap opera. The proliferation of the internet and automated technology brought about the need for voiceover in this emerging media. Telephony systems, educational materials such as e-learning and virtual tours, audiovisual presentations, websites and mobile apps, and interactive gadgets like GPS, elevators, and the ATM. Localization has also made the industry huge. There are a lot of projects like children's stories, foreign movies, and TV shows, even e-learning that need to be translated and dubbed into our native language, and even in some of our native dialects. Like these Filipino fairy tales that I voiced, dubbed, and directed. Many of these projects are with international clients. What type of work do Filipino voiceover actors normally get? There's really a wide range of voiceover projects that we get here in the Philippines. Commercials, dubbing translated content for different media and platforms, radio drama, video games, audiobooks, e-learning, AVPs, IVRS, you name it. Filipinos can voice it. Filipinos are very good English speakers and mostly have a neutral accent, which is why we remain to be the top choice when it comes to English voiceovers in Asia. And also, we are the #1 call center agent in the world. Also, as mentioned, there has been a huge demand over the last few years for localized content, which gives more opportunities to voice artists and dubbers. I believe I have helped revolutionize the voice acting industry in the Philippines through my school. Voice acting grew not because of the demand, but because of the supply. Hundreds of new voices have become available to choose from in various ages, dialects, range, characters, etc., and that made the industry more known, especially to the organizations that need them. Take audio-video presentations or AVPs for example. We get a lot of voiceover projects for corporate videos, events, production promotion, explainer videos, etc. It used to be that these clients would just choose an employee in their company with a good voice to do the voiceover. Now, they know that the voiceover can be done by a professional voice artist. How accessible is voiceover training in the Philippines? Through the Philippine Center for voice acting training has become very accessible to aspiring voice artists. Every year, we conduct several voiceover trainings like basic voice acting and dubbing workshop, and 2 months workshop where students are taught not just the basics of voice acting and dubbing, but also translating scripts and creating character voices. Not only do students learn the basic skills needed in voice acting, but they also get to develop their self-confidence in the process, something that's crucial to succeed in the voice acting industry. Voice acting workshop. The workshop also goes beyond the confines of the classroom and exposes the students to real-life experience in voiceover, dubbing, and broadcasting. Even after the workshop is over, we, the teachers, invite our students to our recording sessions, auditions, and radio programs so that they can apply what they have learned in the training. The great thing about our school is that it promotes the culture of sharing opportunities and learning. We encourage our students to submit their voice demo and audition for projects even outside our studio. Despite the success of our school, however, we are still faced with the challenge of making voice acting training more accessible, especially to our fellow Filipinos in other parts of the country. I cannot tell how many times I have been asked if we have another branch in a certain province, if we can accept one more student when the slots are already full, or if we can do the workshop more often in a year. Where do you see the future of voiceover and dubbing in the Philippines? Voiceover and dubbing in the Philippines has significantly grown and will continue to grow in the next 10 to 20 years. I can clearly see how the Philippines can easily become the first choice for dubbing and voiceover in Asia because we speak English relatively well and have a neutral accent compared to our Asian counterparts. In addition, through our efforts in our voice acting school, voice artists also get to learn the many facets of the voiceover and dubbing industry, including translation, sound mixing, and sound designing. As long as we develop the culture of sharing knowledge, skills, and opportunities, it won't be long before we see the Philippines as the center of voiceover, voice acting, and dubbing excellence in Asia. In a country known for their talent and skills in singing, acting, and in the arts and boast 76% proficiency in a second language or another, and with their healthy obsession and fascination in the various voiceover mediums, video games, animation, and entertainment, and with a little more push and help from our voiceover actors and innovators like myself, we may see the Philippines alongside with countries like USA, Japan, India, and China in the voiceover world soon. So, by 2027, the global film dubbing market forecast will reach 3.604 billion US dollar. Again, 3.6 billion dollar. Film dubbing market was valued at 2.4 billion US dollar in 2019 and is projected to reach 3.6 billion US dollar by 2027. Okay? Growing at a CAGR or of 5.60% from 2020 to 2027. The film industry around the world has witnessed significant growth in the past few years. Film production houses outside Hollywood or US have begun to prosper while online movie streaming platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and now we are also doing Jungo or Django Pinoy, Django TV. All the voices, the Filipino voices, are done by my company, Dubbing Booth Company. Okay? They also have assumed a strong market share in the industry. Increasing demand for foreign movies with native language translation is one of the major factors driving the growth of the market over the forecast period. You know what? My goal is to make the Philippines like a BPO capital of the world for dubbing. And now, we need to get the government support. We need to create and show proof that the company is consistent in providing exceptional results and services. Just like my company, Dubbing Booth Company. Improve and focus more on marketing strategy in order to attract more international clients. Attract clients like BPOs, showcase the expertise, good reputation, and great relationships that the company built. Conduct competitive research and mirror the best practices of the top countries and companies. Recruit and train great talents that would fit client requirement. Okay? And one of my goals is to make a call center agent to voice talent. And we have to develop their talent by teaching, of course. Teaching them how to become a voiceover artist and dubber. And we offer multiple services. And it's like a one-stop shop. What kind of voiceover work are being hired for different kinds of voiceover? And I believe there's two reasons for that. First, we're one of the few countries in Asia who has neutral accents. So we come close to being a native English speaker. English is our second language. So have a lot of voiceover artists who do voiceover work for English commercials, e-learning, television, telephone prompts, animation, etc. The second reason we have diverse voiceover projects is because of localization. I remember when I was starting out, we mostly localized foreign, non-English films, animation, and soap opera. But now even Hollywood movies and other English materials are being translated and dubbed in our local language. We also localize commercials, games, e-learning, and even mobile apps. I always say as technology grows, the need for voiceover also grows. And that's been the case for Filipino voice artists and dubbers. One reason why we're talking today is that we have recently launched the Dubbing Booth Company and the Dubbing Network. What is it all about? You know, with the trend of localization, like I have mentioned earlier, dubbing has become one of the most in-demand kind of voiceover projects in our country today. In many companies alone, Creative Voices, we have dozens of movies that we localize and dub on a monthly basis. I created the Dubbing Network because I saw the need to set standards for the dubbing industry here in the Philippines as well as in Southeast Asia. My goal is to have a hub to those who would like to hone their dubbing and translation talents and learn from this network of both aspiring and seasoned dubbers. I also want to have a network of all local and international voice talents and dubbers that can cater to the localization requirements of the world. One of the main principles I have instilled in our community from very beginning is that we exist to promote voice acting as an art. I mean, yes, it is a profession, and yes, it can be a lucrative profession. For many of my students, being a certified voice artist or CVA is more than just the money. It's about fulfilling the dream they had since they were kids, or being able to express themselves in a way they never thought possible. And that's where my own fire comes from. You know, the fulfillment of knowing that I'm able to make a difference in my students' lives through the art of voice acting and dubbing. The future of dubbing and voiceover industry. The dubbing, voice acting, and voiceover industry has witnessed unprecedented growth in the past years, thanks to the growing consumption of videos all over the world. According to the predictions by Cisco, the video will be 80% of web content by the end of 2019. With a growing demand in audiovisual content, companies around the world want to reach a wider set of audience. It has resulted in an increasing demand for dubbing and voiceover companies for producing content in many different languages. Future trends in dubbing and voiceover industry. Number 1, advancement of artificial intelligence. Are machines going to take our voiceover jobs?
Well, not anytime soon. Many people see artificial intelligence or AI as a threat to the dubbing and voiceover industry. But in reality, it offers new opportunities for voiceover and dubbing artists. For example, an AI chatbot that answers your question, and a virtual e-commerce assistant that guides you through the buying or selling process. Use voices originally recorded by voiceover actors. Moreover, no matter how advanced AI may become, it will never be able to replicate the emotions and feelings of a human voice. Hence, the popularity of the voice actors is expected to explode in the coming years.
Number 2, increasing interest in localized content. Content localization means translating the language of the original content into the language used in your target local area. For example,
if you're selling your products or services in the US and want to expand in China, you need to modify your content according to the Chinese market. Localized content requires you to research and understand the preferences, demographics, culture, and language of your target audience. Localization is affecting the dubbing and voiceover industry to a great extent. As more consumers are attracted to content created in different languages, the need for dubbing and voiceover artists is on the rise. Such growth of accurate and timely dub content is an essential part of the content itself. If not done correctly, the viewers may end up looking somewhere else for content, which ultimately leads to a loss of revenue for the production house.
Number 3, the rise of virtual reality content. Virtual reality means using computer technology to create a simulated three-dimensional environment. In simple terms, it is experiencing things that doesn't exist in real life.
According to the Virtual Reality Brand Power Index released by UVisit, 75% of the Forbes world's most valuable brands have integrated VR into their marketing strategies. The growing demand for virtual reality content also means many challenges for the dubbing and voiceover industry. VR content is shifting towards a narrative style which involves multiple speakers. Therefore, the main challenge for dubbing artists will be to handle all the audio needed to create 360-degree video. Moreover, dubs need to adjust the voice and audio cues according to what's visible in the frame. For example, if there's 1, 2, or more speakers in the scene, the one in the frame will have louder audio as compared to others. Overall, we're going to experience many more developments in the dubbing and voiceover industry in 2020 and even beyond. With more content created with a focus on localization, brands will be able to access the audience around the globe. Moreover, artificial intelligence is expected to take over the dubbing and voiceover industry, but only to some extent. Producing accurate content with a human touch will always require the services of dubbing and voiceover artists. And if you want to find the best partner for all your dubbing and voiceover requirements, of course, Dubbing Booth Company is here. It is a full-service post-production company based in Makati City, Philippines. And we offer high-quality dubbing and voiceover services in over 100 languages for pre-recorded television programs, documentary films, feature films, webcasts, and podcasts.
Like I mentioned earlier, this is why I will never forget my Voice 2012 experience, which I became the first Filipino, to be the speaker for that event. Because being the only Filipino in that huge gathering of voice artists, I felt like I was Neil Armstrong being the first man on the moon. You know that? It feels like I was planting the Philippine flag in the map of voice acting. It felt like I was making history. But more than that, what I find most valuable about being part of the International Voiceover is the network and the friendship, just like what we are doing here in PSTD, where I can meet and connect with talented, like-minded individuals like you guys. And that's exactly what I want to share to my students and my fellow Filipino voice artists. I truly believe that Filipino voice artists have world-class talents and we deserve to be heard in the international scene. Once again, this is the VoiceMaster of the Philippines, Pocholo De Leon Gonzales. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Philippine Society for Talent Development, for this opportunity to share the wonderful world of Filipino dubbing. God bless everyone and mabuhay. Bye.